Hey everybody, it's Mike Freer here with On-Call Compliance Solutions, and I'm back with another compliance tip of the week. Today we're talking about CMMC Control AC.L2-3.1.7. Prevent non-privileged users from executing privileged functions and audit the execution of such functions. What is this control, and why is it important? So hey, if you're a defense contractor who's feeling overwhelmed, tired, and alone, trying to understand all of this DFARS, NIST SP 800-171, and CMMC compliance stuff, I've got great news for you. You found your home here at On-Call Compliance Solutions, where we can help you transform into your company's on-call compliance hero. Let's jump into it. So, CMMC Control AC.L2-3.1.7. Prevent non-privileged users from executing privileged functions and audit the execution of such functions. CMMC Control AC.L2-3.1.7 focuses on preventing non-privileged users from executing privileged functions and auditing when privileged functions are executed. Here's a breakdown of what this control means and why it is important. What does the control mean? Well, preventing non-privileged users from executing privileged functions. One, non-privileged users, what are those? These are users who do not have administrative or elevated rights, i.e. not administrative users or some kind of user with extra security permissions. They typically perform regular everyday tasks without access to critical system settings and configurations. A privileged function, these include tasks or actions that have a significant impact on the security or functioning of a system, such as installing or uninstalling software, changing system configurations, managing user accounts, accessing sensitive or restricted data, prevention. This part of the control ensures that non-privileged users cannot perform privileged tasks, so non-privileged users should not have access to commands, tools, or functions that can alter critical systems or data. Access control mechanisms must be in place to enforce this separation. Next, audit the execution of privileged functions. Now, auditing, this involves logging or recording all instances when privileged functions are executed, whether by administrators or other authorized personnel. These logs should capture who's performed the privileged action, what action was taken, when the action occurred, where the action took place, i.e. what system. Those are critical things that your SIEM solution or Security Information and Event Management solution should have in place. Execution monitoring. Regularly reviewing these audit logs helps ensure that privileged functions are only being performed by authorized users. It also aids in detecting any inappropriate or unauthorized use of elevated privileges. So again, being able to see that somebody got on at 2 o'clock in the morning and started executing privileged functions could be a sign that you've got somebody strange in your system, and maybe we need to, go check that out. So, why is it important? One, minimizes the risk of unauthorized changes. Enforces least privilege, so that we know that least privilege is a huge core tenet of security. People should not have access to what they don't need. By preventing non-privileged users from executing privileged functions, you ensure that only authorized personnel can make significant changes to systems or access sensitive data. This reduces the risk of accidental or malicious changes that could harm the system's security, stability, or availability. Two, reduces insider threat. Non-privileged users could include employees, contractors, or others who should not have access to critical system functions. Restricting their ability to execute privileged tasks helps mitigate the risk of insider threats. Huge. Two, prevents accidental misuse. This is, again, I think kind of like an underrated part of compliance, is you just want to stop people from doing things that are accidental or just dumb things that they shouldn't be doing. Even well-meaning users can accidentally perform dangerous actions, even if they have access to privileged functions. For example, an employee could unintentionally modify or delete important files, change configurations, or disable security settings. Restricting access to these functions helps prevent such mistakes. So again, we just want to save ourselves from ourselves. Next, strengthens security against cyber attacks. Limits attacker capabilities. If an attacker gains access to a non-privileged account, they cannot use that account to escalate their access or perform privileged tasks, such as installing malware or creating new administrator accounts. This limits the scope of damage an attacker can use. One of my favorite tools, right, is this really cool tool called Threat Locker. And I'll tell you that years ago, we actually made Threat Locker mandatory for any client that we work with. It's incredible because it actually just stops anything that's net new from executing on any system without some sort of third-party approval, i.e. basically us approving it for the user. Now, is it a little bit burdensome? Sure it is. It is definitely a little bit burdensome. However, if you want to be protected against somebody getting into your system and beginning to run all kinds of crazy stuff, the reality is pull that capability from everybody and then make it so that even administrators have to go to a third party to get that approved and authorized. That, man, if you're part of our amazing audience, 2 million strong, guys, over 2 million views, God, that's really good insurance. It's really good insurance. I know I sleep better at night. We've definitely used it to catch attacks. It's just huge, and again, I won't really go into great detail, but for those very few clients who had ThreatLocker in place during the Kaseya attack, basically saved their lives. I mean, literally. 2, detects malicious activities. By auditing privileged actions, organizations can detect suspicious activity, such as an unauthorized privilege escalation or unusual system modification. If an attacker manages to gain privileged access, their actions will be recorded and can trigger security alerts. 2, supports incident response and forensics. Audit logs as evidence. In the event of a security incident, audit logs provide a record of what privileged actions were taken and by whom. This information is crucial for investigating the incident, identifying the root cause, and understanding the scope of the breach. Next, accountability. Auditing privileged action holds administrators and other authorized users accountable for their actions. It ensures that privileged access is not abused and provides transparency in system operations. Next, it helps with compliance. Hey, here's kind of a dumb moment, right? Many regulatory frameworks such as HIPAA, PCI DSS, and ISO 27001 require organizations to implement controls that restrict access to privileged functions and maintain logs of privileged actions. Implementing this control helps meet those regulatory requirements and avoid potential penalties for non-compliance. How do we implement Control 3.1.7? Well, access control policies, I'll tell you. Define the info. That sounded kind of corny, didn't it? Hey, you know what? Sometimes you read from a script and you eat a little bit of corn. Define and enforce policies that specify which users have access to privileged functions. Ensure that non-privileged users are explicitly denied access to administrative functions, i.e. using role-based access control to assign users to appropriate roles. Again, RBAC or role-based access control can really be a huge part of security. Next, use of privileged access management solutions or PAM tools. Implementing PAM tools is to manage, monitor, and secure the use of privileged accounts. These solutions can automatically prevent non-privileged users from performing privileged tasks and enforce strict access policies. Auditing and logging. Enable logging of all privileged actions across systems and applications. Ensure that the logs include necessary details like user identification, time of action, and the nature of the action. Regularly review and analyze the audit logs to detect any unauthorized or suspicious activity. Next, multi-factor authentication. MFA. Require MFA for users who are executing privileged functions to add an extra layer of protection, ensuring that only authorized individuals can perform these critical tasks. Next, review and monitor log. Implement automated monitoring tools that trigger alerts if unusual or unauthorized privileged activities are detected. Set up a process for regularly reviewing logs as part of security operations. Now, in conclusion, CMMC Control AC.L2-3.1.7 is essential for enforcing the principle of least privilege, protecting systems from unauthorized or accidental changes, and ensuring that privileged actions are properly audited. This control strengthens an organization's security by ensuring that only authorized personnel can execute critical tasks, while creating accountability and traceability through logging and monitoring. And if you're as confused by this as, well, I was when I first went through it, I have good news, because at OnCall, we take defense contractors just like you who have had this DFARS, NIST, CMMC, ITAR, and EAR information security compliance stuff dropped in their laps like a seagull on a sunny day. And we teach you how to level up and be a proper on-call compliance hero for your company, eliminating gaps, gray areas, and getting this solved, all while showing you how to leverage compliance as your secret weapon to land more defense work with higher profit margins. Now that's what becoming an on-call compliance hero can do for you. If you are looking for more help getting compliant, our compliance experts are always on call for you. You can visit cmmccompliancesecrets.com or check out the description below for links to get help right now. If you love the content we're putting out here for you, help us out with a big thumbs up on that like button, or even better, you guessed it, smash that subscribe button to get the latest compliance content as soon as our compliance nerds roll it out. Until the next compliance tip, my friends, stay safe and secure out there, and hit us in the comments below to let us know what you'd like to know more about when it comes to information security and compliance. I'll see you on the next one.